Welcome back to the show. I'm Johnny Kane, and you are listening to Open Mic here on WJR. You ever wonder what it'd be like to be the most popular person on campus, but nobody actually knows who you really are? It's kind of like leading a double life. And that really is what it's like when you're a mascot, especially when you're one as well known across the country as Sparty at Michigan State University. Joining us on the show is Lyric Sloan, who had an opportunity to talk to Sparty. Or I guess there's two Spartys, right?
Yes.
Not just one Sparty anymore. How much fun was this interview, and how did you track down Sparty?
I mean, such a cool opportunity. I don't think that there's ever been an interview when they reveal themselves about their experience. So it was so cool. And I expected them just to be as cool as they are when they're in the mascot. And I got information that a lot of people might not know behind the scenes, like how they got into it, what their favorite memories were, what it's like to be basically Batman, putting
Yeah,
on your mask and going out on the night. They're just such cool guys and so, open to being a part of the interview, and they loved it, and it was a great experience.
yeah. The two boys, the two guys are Zach O'Brien and Zane Francisco, and I feel like it's kind of like auditioning for a movie role. Like if you wanted to become Sparty, but it's like a recurring role. But the only difference is, there's no speaking. The template is kind of there, right? Like the template is in place. Like I don't think anybody could go in and be like, "Well, I'm going to be this kind of Sparty," right?
Yeah, I mean, I was asking them, are there certain things that you have to do? And they told me they had to do one-handed push-ups or, kind of throw a fist in the air. But they told me that every reaction that they would have without Sparty is the reaction that they were having with Sparty. They could just completely let loose and hype up the crowd because they are Sparty. That is their duty.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. I was thinking just in my mind, like, people say, "Man, that would be such a cool job," but it's a commitment, like to be a student and then to also be, it's like being a student athlete. You're just not. I mean, you're still at all the games. You're just not necessarily putting the football helmet on. You're just putting the Sparty helmet on. But I would think that it's got to be a very demanding, you know, title to hold if you want to be Sparty in East Lansing.
Oh, yeah, they told me that. I mean, the commitment to Sparty, it's so rewarding, but it really is so time consuming. They'll just be said, "Hey, you gotta be at the Union right now, get your gear on and let's go on the golf cart and go see the kids at the dairy store." So they were always on call, of course. But what I think was most interesting is, I asked them a question, of course, what's your most memorable moment? They both had the same answer. Out of all the weddings that they've done, out of probably March Madness and traveling with the team and Tom Izzo, all the goats, they said that their best moment was running out on that field for the first time for their first game, which was so cool. And, you know, they've definitely had some crazy experiences, but being able to be Sparty for the first time was their most memorable.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the other part about it is, not just game days, but the responsibilities that go with, again, different birthday parties, I would assume, and weddings, and when Sparty's in need, like you said, it's like being Batman. When duty calls, you got to drop what you're doing and show up. So, all right, very good. I really like this interview. Here is Lyric Sloan with Zach O'Brien and Zane Francisco.
So I'm sure that you guys have had such a crazy college experience and now you guys are graduating, but I want to know ultimately how you guys got involved with this. I know that Michigan State sends out like a mass email to all the students asking to be Sparty, but did you know anyone previously that did it, or how did you guys get involved?
Yeah, so like you said, there's a mass email sent out. Usually it's sent to freshmen and sophomores. And I saw that email. I actually grew up in East Lansing, so I knew everything about MSU. Huge MSU fan growing up. My whole family was huge on that, so I knew who Sparty was. I knew Sparty was a thing, and there was more to it than just somebody random going out there at football games. I knew there was a lot more to it. So once I really saw that email, I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna go for it, see what happens, submit an application, and kind of just ran with it. Kept going through with the whole process, and it turned out to be the best decision to submit that email and application.
Yeah, so I grew up in Holt, which is 10 minutes from East Lansing. So I also grew up huge Michigan State fan, knew a lot about the school. And similar to Zane, like they sent out a bunch of emails, and I actually got handed a QR code at Sparticipation my junior year because I transferred in from LCC. So I was already 2 years into school. And so I got that and I kind of put it aside for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I really wanted to get involved at Michigan State. So I went ahead and went for it. And like Zane said, it was best decision I made.
Yeah, definitely. So when you guys were going into that process, did you have to like not tell anyone that you were doing it, or how did it work?
Yeah, the secrecy of the program and how things run is a huge deal. It's one of the top priorities going into it, and that's the first thing they tell you when you're applying and when you're looking at that the job description, I guess you could say, is this is a top secret. There's a lot of secrecy to it. So, and I knew that, and like growing up here, I knew that obviously nobody knows who Sparty is. It's a secret thing. So. I knew about that, and I did not tell my parents. I told my parents I was applying for a random job on campus. I need my social security number and a bunch of different other info for a random job, as well as my roommate at the time in the dorms. I didn't tell him I was going through with it at all. So nobody really knew except for the people hiring me.
Yeah, same for me. Like I didn't really tell anybody um, when filling out my application. Although throughout the so Zane came on a year before me onto the squad, and because I transferred into Michigan State. And I actually worked with Zane beforehand. We both worked at Dick's Sporting Goods together, and just that was just for a short period of time. So we met there, and then I went in one day, and Zane saw me. He was Sparty, so I didn't know it was Zane, but he saw me, and he's like, "I recognize that guy." So it was funny that we actually had crossed paths before, and then we did again throughout this program. But that was just a funny thing too.
So would your friends ever ask you where you're going, or your family? I mean, I'm sure you guys were traveling around a lot. It's kind of like being Batman in a sense. Like you're disappearing. It's like your alter ego.
Yeah, definitely. I eventually once I knew I got the job, got the role, I told both my parents. And they're the only I told both my parents and my roommate because I grew up with my roommate and I've lived with him at all 4 years, and I was like there's no getting past this with all the random things I'll be doing. As well as my parents, kind of keeping them updated and them being my closest supporters and huge MSU people. Those were the three that I told up front right when I got it. But over time, yes, there was random times where it'd be a Friday night where a normal college kid would probably be hanging out with friends or going downtown, and we'd be going to Grand Rapids for a wedding. And those texts from friends are like, "Hey, you coming out with us tonight? Or what are you doing tonight? You want to hang out?" And we're like, "Oh man, I'm busy. I got work. I got to work late." So it's certain white lies like that where you really gotta um, work on those skills to get out of certain situations.
Yeah, especially with like football Saturdays. My friends would always be like, "Why aren't you at the tailgates?" Or like, "Why aren't you at the games?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just working in the press box." Was always my go-to, even though I was on the field.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's such a cool experience to be kind of masked up, but be such a presence at Michigan State. I mean, you're at weddings for, I'm sure, Michigan State alumni traveling across the country. I want to get more into like the characteristics. Like, let's say someone out there wants to be Sparty, and obviously Sparty is, I'm a little biased, I'm sure we all are, but the best mascot in college. So when you guys were in the audition process, did you guys already exemplify those characteristics, or did you have to learn throughout?
There's a little bit of both, probably more on the side of a lot of learning, um, more learning Sparty's character, not necessarily our both Zach and I's personalities. Going into it when we're during the tryout process, now going through it all 4 years and understanding all the backbones and um, how the process works. There's a lot that goes into picking and choosing different people that may fit the role. And a lot of that is personality. Are these people exemplifying Michigan State University and want to put on the persona that is a funny, go get 'em kind of the guy in the town. We try and find those types of people. But the other half of it is a big learning curve of, whoa, I can't talk. Whoa, everybody's staring at me. And stuff like that, where you got little kids just running up to you, and you got to really hone in on those skills of working with children most of the time at different events, and screaming at you and punching you in random at random times. So it's certain little funny things that over your experience and over time, you kind of just sharpen skills every single time we get to do what we do. So
Yeah, I would agree with everything Zane said. And I also just think like throughout the years doing it, like it definitely made me become a more like outgoing person and be able to just like put myself in uncomfortable positions more. So that's where you tend to grow the most. Um, so I would definitely say like if you don't have all the traits at the beginning, you'll definitely learn them throughout the entire process and experience.
Yeah, I definitely say being Sparty must be such a big learning curve because I'm sure a lot of people in these huge arenas that are completely packed and all these kids, even, just general fans, they kind of forget that there's a not just a person, but a student behind that costume that has to keep his composure. They have to be able to work around things. Maybe they're touching you, maybe they're screaming at you. 15 people are in a line to get a picture. So I definitely think it must prepare you in a different way being in that environment. Even though you're
Mm.
masked, you still have to use your brain in that sense. I'm sure
Yeah,
it prepared you guys
yeah.
in a different way.
It kind of how I think about it is it kind of went into like an autopilot mode. Like I went into like Sparty mode, and then my brain was just always going and going and going, trying to figure out what's the next thing I can do and whatnot.
So are there, like, certain things that they want you to do as Sparty? Are there certain claps that you should do? Or when, someone gets a basket, are Sparty throwing a arrow? Like, what does Sparty do? Is there, like, a certain trait that they want you to use, like a kinda like a template?
not necessarily. There's obviously a lot of training that goes involved. That's goes into it, and that's part of the whole process before we if you're a new person that you go through a whole training process, and we don't put Sparty out there if he's not fit to be out there. And so Sparty does obviously have his signature poses like flexing, kind of putting the number one up, or getting the crowd hyped. We do it in a way that's human. We're not giving a robotic template to everybody. This is what you have to do every single time. You, Sparty does it in a way that is human. Sparty, we don't. Nobody looks at Sparty as the student under Sparty. Sparty is himself, and that's what we try to do for every single person that we work with, and in every event that we go to.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And there is like a baseline of like things like things that Sparty does all the time that like Zane said throughout the or the training process that we learn. And those things are like Sparty's like flexes, fist bumps, like all that kind of stuff. But it is a lot of like being a person and like what feels natural in the moment. Like if a dunk happens at a basketball game, it's your natural reaction to it as Sparty. So that's I think what comes across really like genuine to a lot of people compared to I guess other people or other mascots.
I love that. That actually makes it so much better when you know that Sparty obviously is a real person and he's feeling those things just as a mascot to get everyone hyped. And I mean, you guys are putting in so much time. You're traveling across the country. I'm sure that Michigan State obviously gives you something back. I don't know if it's a discount on tuition or you guys are being paid. Like, what do you guys get anything, or is it just the experience of being Sparty?
You kick this
Man,
one.
I wish there were scholarships. I wish there was discount on tuition. It is a massive time commitment, and there are definitely perks of being Sparty. I mean, you can kind of relate it to being um, an athlete and the perks that athletes kind of get, minus the scholarships, and a lot of maybe the academic and training and nutritional side. We don't get any of that, but we do get kind of a lot of the gear, a lot of the all the passes like to games, and being up front and personal with a lot of um, people at MSU, um, as well as getting kind of when we travel, we're getting per diem and paid to be at these different places. Every event Sparty does, he's the program is paid, so that is a plus for the program. and we are very fortunate to have two directors of the program. One who's actually taking a new role. So we have one director now, but she's been with Sparty for about 10 years or if not more. And she is Sparty's mom. And so she takes care of us, makes sure we're all right, texts us every day. We see these two directors every single day of our college career. And they're really the backbone of Sparty's operation to keep us going and keep us on a straight path without missing any work.
A perk too is just like it's just the experience in itself. Like obviously the gear is nice, the travel is nice, but just like the people you meet and the things that you see and the people, just the experience of being on the field too is just really, really different compared to what I thought I was getting into, like going into college. And also just experience on the field, but also like at a farmer's market on a random Sunday in East Lansing, like the experience you have and the impact you have on these people that you've never met before. They've met Sparty maybe a handful of times, but you've never met them most of the time. And so it's really cool to have that experience, and there's no price on that. So that's one of the perks in my opinion.
What would you say has been like the most surreal moment for the two of you?
Ooh.
One that comes to my mind is like obviously Sparty does his runouts at football games. And my first one happened to be at the Washington football game in 2023. And that was just like, I don't know, it was just such a nervous but satisfying feeling after I did the run out and did the push-ups and whatnot. And my parents were there, so that was really cool that I got to share that with them. And because like a lot of people, like we mentioned, don't know like who's Sparty, but the few people that do, like it's cool to be able to share that with them and like see their videos of me doing it and like hear their reactions in the background and whatnot. So that was definitely a surreal moment for me and almost like a full circle moment that I had finally made it to Michigan State, and then that was like one of my big moments.
Yeah, I mean, bouncing off that, I think every major event we do is kind of surreal to me because it's always something different. Yes, we've been in Spartan Stadium for a ton of football games, but my first run out as Sparty was my first ever football game with Sparty. Back in 2022, the first game, places packed, 75,000 people, and here I am, a kid that's been on the field probably 3 times before that in his life, and I'm running out there and everybody's staring at me, cheering me on, and you kind of just black out in the moment and hope that all the preparation and kind of training that you've done kind of kicks into gear and takes over. So yeah, doing those big type of events, I mean, as well as whenever we get to travel to places and you're leaving on a Thursday and you're missing Thursday and Friday classes and you're on a chartered flight with the team and you're like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I in this place going to New York City on a random Thursday for March Madness? It's kind of, you take a step back, think about it, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. So there's plenty of events, and no event is, in my opinion, kind of greater than another in Sparty's view. Sparty views every event the exact same in the way the energy he puts out and the way he treats people at different events. But for me personally, obviously, big major events at big stadiums and traveling across the country is very surreal.
Yeah, definitely being in those big moments too. Like everybody's watching Sparty when he comes out. Even though, they can't see actually who you are, you know that everyone's watching you. And it must be so cool because the energy is so high in every stadium. So such a cool experience. And I can't imagine, Zach, you were saying when you were at the Washington game, like with your parents being there and you knew that they knew
Yeah.
it was you. Such a cool
Yeah.
moment. Like, you don't
Yeah, it was really
meet, I mean,
cool.
it's not an average person to be able to say that you were Sparty for so many years. It's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
So, circling back, I know we were talking about kids and how they can be kind of crazy. I want to get to a funnier aspect of this interview. What's like the craziest thing that a kid has said to you? Censor.
um Man, there's so many kids are very unfiltered these days, it feels like. Um, but you get all those kids that are like, "Sparty, can you do the gritty? Can you gritty for us?" And, "Sparty, let's race." And, like, you're all of a sudden you're just racing 10 kids down the sidewalk.
I remember I did an event in Lansing a few summers ago, and we had gotten there, and I was Sparty, and I had gotten out of the car, and all the kids saw me, but it was like 150 kids just all sworn me, yelling Sparty, and that was just like, it was so overwhelming but funny at the same time. They're all just like grabbing onto me and whatnot. So that was a very like just crazy kid experience that I had.
That's probably more the crazy part is kids are more likely to kind of mess with us and try and um, like hit Sparty in the face, hit Sparty's head, or kind of push us around more than anybody else. And that's something that's a little more unique, and you don't typically see at normal events because adults obviously aren't messing with us that much. But kids like to take it a little farther with us, which is funny.
Yeah, kids nowadays are definitely unfiltered, and I can see how they'd wanna, like, jump on you, and because they don't
Yeah,
understand that there's, like, a person in the mat. It's like seeing
yeah,
Chuck E.
yeah.
Cheese.
No,
It's like the same.
they thought I I went to an elementary school and they thought I was their teacher one time. Just like, oh, we know you're Mr. whoever it was, Mr. Johnson. Like, no.
Have you guys ever accidentally spoken? Like, you guys aren't allowed to speak, right?
Sparty does not talk. No.
There's never been a moment where you felt like you had to?
Nope. Sparty stays quiet. Yeah.
That's crazy, that's crazy. Okay, so I wanna get into you said that you had a Sparty mom, and she made sure that you guys were always feeling balanced with your schoolwork, but, I mean, this is a really time-consuming thing. Obviously, you guys are missing your Thursday or Friday classes or having to schedule to make sure that those are blocked out. How were you guys able? Did you have to get used to it, or
Yeah, a little bit of it was getting used to kind of the time commitment, and what we really do is our schedule. We put our classes in. We do get priority of like picking classes in like the first day or whatever, so we can try and get the best schedule for us for that semester. Um, but after that, like we put our classes into our schedule, our team schedule, and all the rest of our time off that we think we need, say, I don't know, Mother's Day or Dad's birthday, where you want to take that day off. Other than that, our directors, they can schedule us whenever, and we take that commitment. We're like, so if it's a Friday night and we're not busy, it's not on our schedule that we're off, then they can schedule us whenever, wherever, and we just have to accept that and understand that we have an obligation to meet that standard of being at whatever event it may be.
Yeah, and if our calendar's open one day, then it's most likely there's going to be an event that day that we're scheduled on. But one of the things that I found nice was I I was full time student at Mission State, obviously the whole time, and I took some in person classes and then some online classes, which definitely helped me out a lot just to free up my schedule. Then also we are able to email our professors obviously and let them know like this is what we do, like this is why we're not going to be in class that day, and they 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, will always understand, and they'll keep the secret and usually push back a test date or whatnot. So that's always nice.
what advice would you give someone that wants to be Sparty?
Get ready, because it is something you've never done before, nor many people, less than 100 people, have ever gotten to do. Um, so you better be one of those people who loves MSU, is willing to get out of your comfort zone every single day, is willing to meet new people, random people, and someone who is just has a fantastic, basically has Sparty's personality when it comes down to it. Um, if you're really wanting to make an impact on the people around you, on MSU and really the East Lansing community as well as around Michigan, then it's a role that you should be interested in and kind of take advantage of, and don't take it for granted at all.
Yeah, I would definitely say like just be yourself. Like that's the best thing you can do. Um and obviously practice the one arm push-ups. You got to do that. And just like understand what you're getting into, kind of like what Zane said, and know that you're going to put yourself in an uncomfortable position every single day, most likely. Something new that you've never experienced before. But what I found throughout the whole experience is that's just where you learn the most. And I've learned beyond what I thought I was going to.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, you guys have lived such a cool life, and you're gonna have such great stories to tell your kids one day. And they'll love Sparty, like, even more than the average
Yeah.
person does. Like, "That's my dad."
Yeah.
Okay, so now to kind of wrap this up, I wanted to play a little game. So I'm just gonna say Zane or Zach, and I'm just gonna give you a fill in the blank question, and you're gonna answer it how Sparty would answer this question.
Okay.
All right, so Zane, if Sparty played a sport, what would he play?
Ooh. Sparty can play any sport. I would say football. Sparty's got the football build, the football body to kind of run somebody over, make a big sack on a quarterback.
All right, Zach, if Sparty had to fight any other Big Ten mascot, who would put a good matchup? Because of sports, because of course, like Sparty's gonna win.
Definitely not Michigan.
Mascot
Probably,
there.
yeah, probably I would say Brutus. It would be a good fight up against Brutus.
Zane, who's Sparty's favorite MSU legend?
I would say Tom Izzo, just for the fact that he's been the most prominent coach and person from MSU, still at MSU, in general. It have to be Tom Izzo, especially because of Sparty's 35 and Izzo has been here 30 years. So majority of Sparty's life at MSU has been with Izzo, and so many different memories, and being at Breslin or being close to Izzo, it's got to be Tom Izzo.
That's a good answer. Zach, what does Sparty eat before a big game?
I would say Hubbard chicken tenders.
Right, that's a good
Many
answer.
of them.
All right, Zane, what's Sparty's favorite campus hangout spot?
Man, the thing is, Sparty, I mean, if it's not every day, it's every other day that Sparty's riding around campus, going anywhere on campus. So I would say his favorite place on campus, it's either the dairy store on Friday afternoons on a nice day, or down by the river, where you can sit down by the river and enjoy the little rapids down there, and enjoy kind of the nature of campus and the calmness of campus on a stressful Sparty day.
All right, Zach, if Sparty had a secret talent, what would it be?
Probably being able to do the splits. A lot of people don't know, but Sparty can do the splits. Great gymnast.
Hey, he's flexible.
He's very flexible.
All right, Zane, if Sparty had to study a major at Michigan State, what would it be?
Definitely whatever is closest to powerlifting and weightlifting. Some kinesiology class, weightlifting class, probably in that department.
All right, Zach, Sparty never leaves the house without blank.
Oh, goodness. Probably his boots. I mean, nobody's ever seen Sparty's toes before. So definitely doesn't leave without his boots.
All right, Zane, Sparty's favorite game day tradition is?
Definitely running the flag out and planting it in the middle of the field, right before the team runs out. That is probably is number one. Number two probably being walking in front of the band across the Spartan statue bridge to the stadium right before game day. That's another one of his favorite things to do, because fans are lining, fans are all hyped up, ready for game day. And Sparty sometimes gets to see his family there. So,
All right, and for both of you, obviously you guys are leaving this chapter of your life behind. So if you could use one word to describe your time as Sparty, what would it be?
it'd be like Sparty right now. I have no words.
Yeah.
Unforgettable.
I was going to say memorable.
Yeah, obviously something I'll never forget. It'll be a very crazy chapter, a very fun 4 years that I will not forget for sure.
And if you guys have like a final message to the Michigan State community, you guys have probably touched a lot of people and for their weddings, for graduation, everything. So if you guys have like a final message that you'd like to leave off before you sign off, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say for me, just thank you to everybody like who made the experience so awesome. And those are every single person or all the people that I met at any event, any tailgate, anything Sparty was at that I was Sparty at. They just made it so much better, and they made it such an enjoyable experience for me. And just thank you to everybody that saw Sparty, gave him a high five, asked him how he was doing, because a lot of people don't ask how Sparty's doing, and we always we give him our genuine response. So it was always nice that people genuinely cared, and just thank you to everybody that did.
Yeah, exactly what Zach said. I would say that there's a lot of people in this community, and the East Lansing and Michigan State community is a very strong community, and both of us being very close to home and growing up here, it's something that we've gotten to be a part of for all 22, 23 years of our lives, and being able to, in these last 3, 4, kind of live it and live through MSU and get the best experiences of our lives. I'm forever grateful to everybody that's helped me and all the people that love Sparty, and like Zach said, every single event, whether it's just somebody waving at us and saying hello to a 1-minute interaction with a little kid. There's never something that is better than the other, or something that sucks doing. Every single moment we get is a great moment. And I would say that there's always, being a massive university, there's always new students, new people coming into this community. So being nice to everyone, going up and meeting new people, and just building the community, the MSU community, how it's supposed to be, is definitely how I want to leave this place and make sure everyone can experience it, at least a little bit of what we got to do. So,
Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show, guys. Congratulations on graduating and having such a cool experience that you'll definitely carry with you forever. And if you guys are ever at Michigan State, like feel free at a tailgate or anything. I'd love to like formally meet you guys.
I appreciate it. Yes, of course.
Life is a mascot. It's not for everybody. Very good interview with Lyric Sloan and Zane Francisco and Zach O'Brien there on the campus of Michigan State University. When we come back, is the era of the NBA super team really over? We discuss next on Open Mic.